Brilliance Audio.
AMOK by Eisler. Performed by the author. Isabel crouched behind one of the thatched huts in the growing darkness, concealed among the giant nest ferns common to East Timor, straining over the din of cicadas for the sounds she dreaded, the thud of boots, the ugly, overconfident laughter, Bahasa Indonesian instead of Portuguese or Tetum. She heard none of it. But what if they were nearby, watching and waiting as she was, only more practiced at patience? The strap of her medical bag was cutting into her shoulder, and for the 100th time she adjusted it. Then she wiped a rivulet of sweat from her eyes and stole another glance past the edge of the hut. The girl was still there, standing by the well, an empty water jug on the ground beside her. A villager, obviously, her feet bare, her white shirt dirty, and her shorts not much more than rags. The girl's head was canted slightly, and her gaze seemed fixed on something in the distance, or perhaps on nothing at all. The incongruity of her presence made Isabel uneasy. Of course, under the circumstances, everything was making her uneasy. That was only natural, but knowing it was natural did nothing to calm her. Maybe the girl was simply enjoying a slightly illicit rest, lingering longer than necessary before drawing up the water she'd been sent to fetch, and then carrying it, perched on her head, back to her family. Maybe. The problem was, the American journalist had said she and Isabel should meet by the well, and they couldn't risk being seen. Kopassus had informants everywhere. Probably this young villager was as innocent as the girls Isabel treated at the clinic in Dili, and probably she hated the Indonesian soldiers as much. But hatred was often accompanied by fear, and more often still, eclipsed by it. She's not an informant, not a lookout. She's just a teenage girl, sent to fetch water and not in a hurry to finish the chore. And then she surprised herself by almost hoping the girl was an informant. Because if soldiers saw her near Isabel and the journalist and thought the girl was working with them, the things they would do to her, Isabel didn't want to imagine it. Though neither did she need to imagine. She had heard more first-hand accounts than she would ever want to remember, and more than she would ever be able to forget. Some of the girls had been as young as 12. Many of them had been made pregnant. 3 had committed suicide, their shame and trauma more than they could bear. Isabel glanced at her watch, a gift from her father in celebration of her graduation from UCLA Medical School on a scholarship 5 years earlier, and in gratitude for her return to East Timor, where she was needed far more, but where she would always make far less. She had never regretted the decision to come back, not even now, when at any moment she might be caught, tortured, raped by one soldier after another, and afterward buried deep in some trackless part of the jungle, or worse, fed to the crocodiles of Timor's countless lagoons and mangrove swamps. For an instant, she was glad her parents were gone, and she was glad she had stopped in Abilene on the way here, where she tried to visit once a year to swim in the sea that now held their ashes. If the worst happened, at least they would be spared the torment of knowing for the rest of their lives their daughter had been murdered, while lacking the proof their minds needed to ever fully accept it.